Living life on the road has its fair share of troubles, like getting stuck going to an epic campsite and just ultimately not knowing what the next day brings. It can be liberating, but also very frustrating. I'm Matt, that's Erica, and our daughter Shanti. In this episode, we picked up my mom as she traveled with us for 2 weeks going off-grid, which is a lot different than her last year of life with COVID-19, getting to be outside, experiencing nature, and finding more of self-freedom. Follow along with us through our journey from Colorado Springs to a tiny house festival in North Denver. And you said at least this is what you want. We left Pueblo, Colorado, knowing that my mom was going to be arriving in Colorado Springs. She did a super brave move and got a one-way ticket to Colorado Springs to come travel around with us for a couple weeks. And we were really excited. We had this amazing campsite planned. So we went through Colorado Springs, and I'm an avid skateboarder. And so we stopped at this massive skate park in Colorado Springs. What you got?
I'm kind of nervous. The only way to go. I've been waiting for in the middle of the night. In the dynamite castle. You and me will be alright.
We were contemplating to try to stay in Colorado Springs or just head up to this campsite that we had seen, which seemed it was sketchy in the way that we didn't know if our bus would make it, because all the reviews were like, you need high clearance, 4-wheel drive, and which our tracker has, but obviously the bus does not. But it has high clearance, so we decided to go out there first before picking my mom up, just to make sure we could actually get to the spot. It was a straight uphill climb. All right, we're hitting up an area, campsite really, that is almost 4-wheel drive mandatory. We're on this back ass road right now. And we finally pulled up to the campsite and, well, we got stuck.
My heart was beating a little bit faster than I preferred at that moment. What are you doing?
Digging out our hitch? Yeah, so one thing with the bus, although there's high clearance, the very back of the bus, when you go up a turn or you have to go up a little sharp uphill, the back of the bus bottoms out. I actually had to get my hatchet out and just chop away at the stone underneath our hitch, and it took me about like 30 minutes to get our tow hitch loose enough to back out, and even then I was still scraping, digging a big hole in the middle of the road. So the bus just definitely took the bumpiest ride of its whole entire existence with us up this mountain road, and the bus is destroyed. I mean, there's water dripping everywhere. Shanti doesn't care.
She's stoked.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we're talking heavy stuff tipped.
Yeah.
This stuff never budges.
But we made it to one of the most epic places we have ever parked the bus.
And the wolves stop howling and have come back into its hole. I don't mind a reasonable amount of trouble.
So we finally get parked. We're super stoked. I opted to go get Terri, his mom, the next day. I think the coolest part is she arrived at night. So she got to wake up in the bus, look around with like this, whoa, feeling, being in the bus for the first time, living in the bus for the first time, and seeing where we were. It was really cool.
And we ended up walking down and meeting a couple other people. And that's one of the best things about living life on the road. And when we stop at these epic places like this or any other type of boondocking spots, a lot of times we run into other people living the same lifestyle. And everybody is way cooler than us. And
true.
we love to just interact with these people. They're super nice. And we had a huge cookout. Logan is from deep South Louisiana. He's super Cajun and loves cooking gumbo. So we actually brought our stove outside and made this massive pot of gumbo and some other food too. And we all just sat around, hung out, enjoyed the mountain view.
Feeling is all gone. Feeling is all gone. If I could take you back to my youth.
So something I absolutely love about living in the bus is the new backyard all of the time. Here primarily there were some really cool hiking spots because it was based right beside of a reservoir. We took off. We didn't know how many miles we were going to go or if we were going to find the water. But I think my favorite part of the entire hike was mid walking. We run into our friends that we had just cooked out with. So we all linked up, joined forces, and headed for the water.
Standing here a while just to take it all in. Radio's playing our song. And then you stood there smiling at me.
And so we walked back up, and there's actually a trail that goes all the way around the reservoir. It's about 14 miles. And so I hopped on my mountain bike and took on the challenge to do it. At around 8,000 feet elevation, and coming from Florida, I was dead. Dead. I couldn't even ride my bike the last 2 miles. Like, my legs were totally shot, could barely breathe, but the ride was totally worth it. It was amazing views just going along this trail around the reservoir. So after spending about 4 or 5 days up at this amazing site, it was too good to just leave. And also traveling so much, it's really nice to actually just be parked somewhere for a little bit and not be on the go every day or every other day. It's nice to just like set up camp and be somewhere for a little bit. So we really enjoyed that time. The weather was perfect, but it was time for us to move on. Erica discovered a tiny home festival in North Denver. So we decided to pack up and start making our way there. So heading from Woodland Park to Deckers, Colorado was one of the most beautiful drives we've ever taken in the bus. The whole time we were kind of going in between the mountains, rock formations everywhere. And then when we finally got to Deckers, we stopped. There was not much there, tiny little town. And we found a campsite. It was about $20 to stay there, and it was still primitive camping. But we decided to do it anyways because it was incredibly beautiful. Had fire pits, the stream right there that we could all play in. And so we headed back to the bus, loaded up, and drove out to that location. So we pull up to that campsite in Deckers, Colorado, and we immediately beelined it to the stream.
Which was freezing.
Yeah, it was super cold. Shanti does not care, though. She'll go in anything. She just loves water, and there's one of those streams was just like beautiful rocks everywhere inside of it.
Besides the stream, we had a really large open space, a fire pit, table, and then our bus. So we busted out the Frisbee, and I think that was my favorite night. Not so much for the scenery, but just the experience. It was really well-rounded.
When you grow up, you'll be fine. I know you've got questions on your mind. Life is gonna happen one way or the other, whether you like it or not. Stop looking for the answers, and you'll find what you've got.
We have a composting toilet in our bus, which is different to use than a normal toilet. So my mom got to do the whole scoot and poot game, because it's a urine diversion.
He just said scoot and poot.
Yeah, but we don't have to go into all the details.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, she got to experience some new things that generally you don't get to unless you are in a position. So it was good.
One of the coolest parts was seeing my mom open up into more and more freedom along this trip after being really constricted in the last year of how she could live. And she just was inspired to want to jump completely into the stream, and she was kind of scared to at first. It was so cold. I mean, literally step in this water and your feet started to hurt. It was that cold of water.
And I'm laughing because I was in the bus when this happened, and all I hear is her scream. So I am almost like, what happened?
Yeah. And so she just goes and she jumps right in and just totally refreshes her off, and just was so happy that she did it, just the smile on her face. And it's like, for us, this stuff is normal, and we're really grateful that it's normal. That's almost our everyday kind of life. But to see someone else experience that was just super epic. After collecting some rocks and having a great time at that location, it was time for us to continue on to the Tiny Home Festival in North Denver. And looking on the map, I saw this convenient road that was just right up the road that kind of cut directly to the town that we needed to.
Well, defining convenient to him was a shortcut. Well, through the mountains.
My shortcuts are normally not very short, just saying. But
but shortcut means instead of making your way around, you go up and down, like right over the mountain.
So we're at this spot in the road, and it looks pretty sketchy. We're not even on it. Erica just drove the car up there to see if we can get to it, or if it's even possible for the bus, but it says trailers not advised, 15% grade. So we're debating whether to turn back around and go another way or just go straight through this. But 15% grade, that is really steep. That's really steep. And it just was too sketchy to bring our house on this road. And so there was another road down, a couple miles back the other way. No big deal. And I remember we passed it and it was paved. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. So we go back down, we pull into this road, and it was like immediately, once we got up it was straight up and down. I got the bus in first gear. I'm practically flooring it just to get up this first part of the mountain. And
the pavement ended about a quarter mile
yeah.
up the way. We're like, oh, what?
Yeah, pavement ended, and we're on this straight overpass, dirt mountain pass, whatever, Colorado extreme road. For like 5 miles, it was 8 to 15% grades, going straight up, taking it really slow in the bus, maybe 10 miles an hour the whole time, and just taking our time so we didn't overheat the engine. And going up was okay, but going down is much more scary. A lot more can go wrong, and it did.
So behind him, I'm in the tracker with the window down. We have our walkie-talkies, right, so we can communicate back and forth. And the smell coming from the hot... Well, at first I thought it was the engine because we had just made that huge climb. But then I'm realizing it was the brakes, right? He was pumping the brakes to maintain a decent, safe speed, and they were getting hot.
And this was really scary. I mean, I'm not a very anxious person, thankfully. But we were going down this mountain, and my anxiety was ramping up hardcore. My chest was just tight with anxiety because this is a huge vehicle, and stopping it is very hard. And I've heard of, you see the off-ramps going on highways. There were no off-ramps because this was some back road, and it was even harder to slow down on because you'd be going straight down into a pin hair turn, and that's like slamming the brakes hard. So after going down this mountain for about 5 miles, the brakes got extremely hot. I mean, you could smell them. Before we smelled them a little bit. This time was like, holy shit, we're about to lose them. And so we pulled over and stopped for like 30 minutes. And we were like stopped totally downhill. Let them cool off, and luckily we were just about the bottom, and we made it down. but it took a couple hours for me to just like decompress from that. It was super intense for me. Then we made it to the show. We got there a couple of days early.
I just like the people, you know, the other schoolies, the other van lifers. It's like-minded people who are there doing the same thing. So I feel like a kid going to a reunion or a birthday party with all my favorite friends. And a lot of schoolies have kids too. So Shanti gets to run around with her bus baby pals, and it's really cool.
This Tiny Home Festival was so busy, thousands of people. I mean, it was incredible how many people actually showed up. And we were giving nonstop tours. We had a line of
Thousands.
30 people deep
Total.
outside of our bus the whole weekend. Check out some of these amazing tiny homes that were here over this weekend. After the show, we had a great time, and the next morning, we said our goodbyes and dropped her off at the airport. And we already missed her. It was a really great time having her. A better time than we would have expected.
While we were at the tiny home show, we learned that there was another one next weekend. So his mom is gone. We're kind of decompressing now, and looking forward to next weekend. More people, more fun, more connections.
Hey guys, as of always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. So cheesy asking, but you know, everybody says ask and you shall receive. So please do that if you feel inclined. If you see anything that you think we should change about our videos, or you love them and you love the way that we're filming and shooting them, just let us know in the comments. We're always open to constructive criticism. And so if you see anything, let us know. And if you see us on the road, definitely let us know. Reach out, give us a little knock. We'd love to give you a hug.